Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield. Sam Whitfield.
Okay, well, I guess our
Sorry, go ahead.
I guess our intro didn't want to play, so we're just gonna do like a cold open. So welcome to the show, folks. This is the Whitfield Report, and thanks to everyone who has joined us. I see that we've already got 10 people watching to start off. I'm sure that number will hopefully grow as the evening progresses.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Sure.
We appreciate everyone, for tuning in. We have Chibi in chat who says, woo, and hi, Sam, hi, Max. And Morpheus is here too. So that's good. But we hope everyone has a good week, is having a good week so far. Before we begin, plug time. As always, you can buy my book, Shadows of Deception. For some reason my camera is blurry, but Shadows of Deception is on Amazon. Oh, I know why.
Because it's trained on your face instead of the book.
Yep. Well, it's got
autofocus.
I've got it in.
Does that, right? You want it to focus on one thing, and it will focus on another.
Yeah. So Shadows of Deception, available on Amazon. New book, The Fourth Estate, coming out in early March. Pre-order page will be up probably next week. If I can finish the manuscript and get it sent out to people. Also, before we begin, a huge thank you to Terrence McCauley for coming on the show.
Man. Hey, if you're an aspiring writer, that's like an episode to watch, huh?
Yeah,
he laid out a lot of like good. I think without even intending to, really, just a lot of good places to start as a writer. You could pick up just from like him talking about his career like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and the one thing that I've always tried to do is like I want to get guests on the show who I not only think would be interesting for the audience to learn from, but who I can learn things from too. I kind of want to give the audience impression that like I'm like listening along with them, if that makes sense. Obviously since the Monday shows are pre-recorded, that's not the case, but like Howard Stern does this annoying thing that I can't stand, where he'll ask like a question, and then the guest will like try to answer, and then Howard will be like, he'll interrupt the guest. He did this a lot with like Van Halen, where he would ask like, so where'd you meet David Lee Roth? And Eddie would go, well, I was at this bar, and I've
been to that bar.
I was going in, and then
Robin, you been to that bar? Yeah, I know the bit.
I've been to the bar.
Yeah, and he just completely cuts the guest off, and then
goes on a complete side tangent, completely unrelated. And by the time you get back to the main topic, right, everybody's forgotten what it was.
Yeah, and
I do that to you on a weekly basis. That's how I know.
Yeah, but you don't.
What?
You don't like annoy me to death with either.
It's
So
usually to kill a dead moment, you know.
you also want hiding out in your house because of COVID and having your mail like triple scanned through like UV lighting. So
Yeah. Well, but I'm also not the former king of all media.
well, let's face it, none of us will ever be Rush Limbaugh. I mean,
Ooh, taking
that's
shots, Sam.
There's only one Rush.
He's right though.
Yeah. So
what do we got? We got news this week, huh? Is there actual news, or is it like the usual weeks where like, oh, this is some bullshit, and move on to like nerdy shit?
We have actual news. This week.
I'll be damned. 2024 is turning around in lots of ways, huh?
Yeah. So
is the news that the economy is better?
No,
let me check. No,
no,
sorry, that's not it. Okay.
Apparently, though, the internet is outraged because
news breaking. Sam is breaking this report. The internet is outraged
because this handsome fellow
never happened before, ladies and gentlemen. This is a first time event.
This handsome fellow, Tucker Carlson, is supposedly interviewing Putin, and that means that like the world is going to end or something, according to
you can't talk to people. What the fuck?
But he's in Russia.
Disagree and call them fucking assholes.
He's in Russia, and he put a video out like why he's interviewing Putin. So people want us to review this, and I'm curious. So
why is he interviewing Putin? I don't know, because there's a war going on, and he might have something interesting to say. Why does he need an answer more than that?
Right.
Let's go.
Well, you know what? Let's just hear the man out.
Evil Eric in chat says it's gonna wind up being Kevin Spacey playing Putin. Based. True. I would pop.
I would laugh too.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously. So we thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive. The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and it's depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like.
Right.
And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, the war in Ukraine began. American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they have done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this,
Triple true.
promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice.
True.
That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated
Tucker's
in.
base.
And we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But
Infinitely
they're
true.
trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't think I'm like, my instant reaction to this, Sam, is I don't think there's anything Putin can say and make me think he's not an asshole. He invaded another country. But there's people fucking dying, right? And these are real human beings we're talking about, you know, average Joes or just their average fucking Petrov, you know?
Yeah.
These are like blue collar workers and guys that drove trucks and now they're in a war, you know? And I think hearing about both sides would be important. You know my stance. I'm anti-war and I'm predisposed to dislike the guy that did the invasion, right? But not having him talk at all is kind of stupid too. Because yeah, he's right. The average person doesn't know why that he was invading.
And you know, like the reason why I bring this up partially is because there are people who are calling Tucker Carlson a traitor for just simply doing this interview, which
they weren't doing that for the journalists who were interviewing bin Laden.
Right.
I would say bin Laden is a far worse individual than Putin.
Well, what about journalists who back in the 90s were interviewing like Saddam back during
Jane Fonda worked with
the Gulf War.
Jane Fonda worked with the Reds. Nobody had a problem with it. She actually worked with the opposing forces in Vietnam that were at war killing our troops.
Yeah.
She went and like did photo shoots with them and gave money to their cause. So yeah, no, if he wants to interview Putin, just let him interview Putin. Like who the fuck's scared of it? Because as far as I understand it now, I don't speak Russian, so I saw it translated. But Putin's reason is both that the West is degenerate and transgenders and stuff, but also that Ukraine has Nazis. So he's basically going after. He wanted to go after like both sides of the extremist spectrum. And so my thesis is that he's experienced too much Twitter himself. You know?
Yeah.
Like, but like, who cares what he's got to say? Like, if you think what he's got to say is going to sway people, I doubt it. Right.
Right. I don't think it is either. I mean,
people don't like war, man. This is what these elites don't get that. It doesn't matter what party, too. Like, people generally, by and large, don't like war because people inherently understand that it's poor people going to get sent to go fight on behalf of rich people over some shit that really doesn't even matter to them.
Right. Chibi in chat says people that interviewed serial killers are nuts too. I mean, yeah. I suppose by that logic, yeah. I mean,
yeah, but they put Charles Manson interviews on fucking television.
Yeah.
Because it was relevant information to the public that he was insane. Right? Regardless, whatever you think of the case, the dude's insane and they reference him all the time. So they put an interview with him in prime time with Geraldo and fucking Diane Sawyer and all them fucking people. And that's Charles Manson. But we can't hear from the president of one of the largest, I think it's the third largest economy in the world, who's at war with a country we're allied with, and just see what he has to say. Because I literally don't think it's like, oh, let Hamas talk about how much they want to like kill all the Jews. Yeah, sure. Like, let them talk that, like, say that, because most reasonable people are like, this is crazy. Right? Isn't that the point of free speech? Is that like
you let people talk to expose themselves and show who they are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that was one of the crazy things with the Twitter files, though, is the fact most conservative accounts on Twitter were like being banned for like hate speech.
And liberals. This is what people seem to like gloss over on the conservative side of things. They were suppressing left-wing activists as well. It was basically whoever was telling the goddamn truth. There was a government agency telling the Twitter to tell you to shut the fuck up.
But
that should concern people because it's not even a partisan thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're a liberal but you're into like WikiLeaks or something, right? Your Twitter account was fucking shadow banned too. Or even some of the liberal conspiracy theorists that I know, like, I spend a lot of time shitting on the QAnon guys because they're funny and they're easy targets. But the left wing has like different conspiracy groups, and whatever you think of their beliefs, it's stuff like the original anti-vaxxers, like pre-COVID. That was mostly left-wing people. They didn't like childhood vaccines and stuff. They were getting suppressed, right? Different subgroups of like both sides are sick and tired of getting suppressed when they're talking about shit. If you don't believe in it, that's fine. But if they want to talk about vaccines causing autism, now, if you think that that's not true and the evidence is on your side, then why do you care? It's like flat earthers. Why shouldn't flat earthers are fucking hilarious, dude. And they can make a compelling case. And that's what I guess they are afraid of, is that even an idea that's seemingly silly, you could
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview.
So
it's wild they would try and suppress it. It's certainly Big Brother type shit that I hate more than anything,
The mainstream hates a non-narrative.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I think, I think it is kind of crazy too that like we had like left wing and right wing people getting censored, but then there were ISIS accounts on Twitter that were literally like, cutting people's heads off,
or certain Nazi accounts get to stay up and others go away. Certain Antifa accounts get to stay up and they say horrific things, and then others go away. It's almost like feds are everywhere, bro. And I hate to sound paranoid, but they do this shit. And it's so out in the open now. Every time there's a goddamn mass shooting, every single time, that person is known to the fucking FBI.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence. They're out there stirring up shit. Who knows why? I think in some cases it's as simple as I can get a promotion if I make an arrest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I don't think it's necessarily a politically motivated thing, because they do go after left wingers. And I think that until it's the same thing as with the Black Lives Matter stuff. A lot of right wingers can't just admit that there's a reason that a lot of black people resonated with Black Lives Matter. because they're sick of getting their ass beat by the cops, you know? And so like, this is the same thing. A lot of right wingers can't see the forest for the trees. That there's a long history of the FBI and CIA fucking with left wing groups in this country too.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and
you
having
justify it being.
go ahead, Morpheus. Sorry, missed you there for a second. No, I'm just saying, like, if you look at J. Edgar Hoover, he was surveilling musicians throughout his whole career, in the intelligence community, and not mostly they were left wingers. This is just a problem. Like, the government being Big Brother is just a problem in general that we should all be concerned about. But what happens is one side's like, oh yeah, we're in power, so they can spy on the other guys. And then the other side gets in power, and suddenly spying doesn't seem like a big deal to them anymore either, because they're like, we can spy on the other guys.
I was just saying, the mainstream hates non-narrative from any side.
Because we're the little guys, and so like we're just like, we would just like to not be spied on, and that doesn't matter. The little guy doesn't matter, man. That's the real problem.
Yeah.
And the little guy gets sick of it, and then bad things happen.
Well, this actually, in a way, Max, ties into what you're just saying. The little guy gets stepped on. This actually segues perfectly into our next topic, which is a bit different. But this past week, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, there were congressional hearings on Section 230 regarding...
Yeah.
When regarding spying should be fucking illegal on your own goddamn citizens.
So,
I had heard about the hearings a little bit, but I hadn't seen anything regarding it. As you know, it's a subject I care deeply about. And there's a couple angles to it. There's the free speech angle. There's also the angle of its psychological implications. I've made a couple videos about that in the past.
So, I've played clips from this podcast before, the All In podcast. If no one is familiar with them, the All In podcast is hosted by a group of venture capitalists and entrepreneurs, some of whom co-founded PayPal with Elon Musk. And with them being, in the internet section, they talk about Section 230 a lot. So they actually broke down. This is probably the best breakdown of Section 230 that I've seen in a while in regards to what is going on here. So I'm not going to play the entire thing, but I will jump to this section, and they do pretty good commentary. And I think one of the guys, David Sachs, who I've
we've played this on them before on the show, right? I remember seeing this guy before specifically
quite a lot.
Yeah,
they bring up what's going on with Section 230. So cut number 2, I think.
Of course, the dictator chairman himself, Chamath Palihapitiya.
Okay, let's see what okay, I think we're at the right timestamp.
Yeah.
So
we might as well, I guess we'll just jump right to that.
It was like a public flogging.
Yeah.
Once again, a public flogging. We'll just jump to it real quick since we didn't want to go too deep on that one. But
Josh Hawley made Zuck turn around and apologize to people in the audience. It was really intense.
Yeah. So this is the name of this hearing was Big Tech and Online Child Sexual Exploitation Crisis. Zuckerberg, he was questioned along with the CEO of TikTok,
time they
Discord,
talk about
X,
that, huh?
and Snap. But obviously, this is all around kids' online safety and also Section 230, which I think these senators this is one of the few bipartisan moments, I think.
They're honing in on it.
Yeah, they realize this is kind of like a winning.
They're going to take a run at this.
They're taking a run at it for sure. They realize it's a winning ticket. But let's just play the clip, and then I'll get your thoughts, Sachs and Chamath.
Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
They're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
Absolute savagery.
I'm sorry for everything that you have all gone through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invest so much and are going to continue doing
It's your
industry-leading
fucking
efforts
fault, Zuck.
to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
This is a powerful moment. And for Zuckerberg to get up and actually face the parents, he turned around, he faced his parents. This is a very dramatic moment. And he apologized. Ned, you respect him for doing that? And you think that was like a powerful moment as well? And where does this all end up?
This was a kangaroo court. I mean, this was basically all theatrics. This is basically a bipartisan moral panic where all these senators are basically grandstanding. And these are the same types of accusations that we've been hearing for years. Remember, this goes back to the whole Frances Haugen claims, where she says that Facebook wasn't doing enough to prevent various kinds of online harms. And I think that we're going to regret where this all leads, because where it's going to lead if they do repeal Section 230 is towards greater censorship. All these companies are going to spend even more resources restricting what we can say and hear online, which is not the right direction. Listen, do some harms occur online? Yes. Do I believe that Facebook is taking substantial measures to stop them? Yes. I mean, but edge cases are always going to get through. When you're operating at that kind of scale, there are going to be these edge cases of kids who got harassed or content that shouldn't have getting through. It's just part of the fact that the internet operates at gigantic scale, and these harms have always been out there. I think that these companies do their best to try and stop them, but they're always going to get through. And you can't make every aspect of our society perfectly safe and harm-free. Somehow we have this expectation that we can eliminate 100% of every harm that occurs. And I do think that these online companies have been unfairly picked on in a sense. I mean, if you're going to talk about these types of harms, why aren't you targeting the music industry for all their incendiary lyrics that basically encourage all sorts of violent or sexist behavior? Why don't you target the advertising industry for creating unrealistic body image expectations? Why don't you target the Kardashians for setting unrealistic expectations around image? And you could go on down the list. I mean, why don't you target Hollywood for releasing a show like Euphoria, which is a hit? It seems to me that the problem in our culture is not coming from the edge cases. It's coming from the mainstream entertainment that is fully allowed and is popular and are hit shows and hit records and hit products. I mean, that's where the toxic pollution is coming from in our culture. So to turn around and now blame the online companies for creating all of this, I think is just, and I think basically they're being scapegoated. I mean, again, this is a moral panic.
So
he's right. He's right to a degree, but the sexual exploitation of children online is not something that you can hand wave away like that. Because it's so fucking prevalent. You know, Sam, I've looked into some of this stuff specifically because I have a kid, right? And like, for example, if you create an account and put like an age number in the name of the account that would like a year number that would make you underage, you don't have to talk to anybody. There's going to be like 12 guys that start trying to groom you in your DMs.
Right.
It's
get
so
that.
fucking prevalent. The kids know about this too. Me and Shmuley have talked to kids that were doing they were doing Five Nights at Freddy because there was a predator in the room. This was on a Google Hangout, and we were like looking for just random live streams, right? And we come across, and there's literally a guy pretending to be a 12-year-old girl with like a furry avatar.
So,
and he was grooming a room full of children into all kinds of weird shit. So there is a problem, you see.
Yeah,
like there is actually a problem with the exploitation of children on these online platforms. And are they could be moving heaven and earth. Are they doing enough?
Right.
And my answer is emphatically no. And I have statistics to fucking back that up.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. But I guess my question though is is repealing Section 230 really the only option out there?
No.
And
These federal agencies are busy fucking with the schizophrenic guy who's really into politics instead of chasing down these child predators. You know what they do, Sam, is they find, like I said, an account that's seemingly underage, and they try and get them in a Discord server. And then on that Discord server, they groom them, and then they get them to create the fucking images, and they blackmail them with them.
Yeah.
Right? It's a fucking industry on Discord. Do you think Discord does goddamn anything about it? They don't fucking care.
No.
They pretend like they care, but it still happens on their platform right now as we're talking. There are children on Discord being groomed. Do you think Discord's doing anything about it?
No. Look, I'm not even disagreeing with you that this is a problem.
Well, no, he was playing devil's advocate to say it's a moral panic, and I do agree with him, but it's a moral panic founded in some reality that the online exploitation of children is pandemic at this point.
It is. I mean, and I could play a bit more of the clip too. I didn't want to play the entire thing.
No. But I think he made a cogent argument there. I mostly agree with him that people are flipping out over things like our edge cases, but also there is a prevalence of certain things that we all universally agree are bad. And one of them is the predation of children who are, in many cases, aren't even old enough to be on the platform, right? The platform's terms of service will say 13 and they're like 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
and these games and stuff, right? Here's another one as a parent. These games and stuff like require them to have accounts with shit that they're not old enough to have accounts for, but the game is targeted at children just so that they can get them in the ecosystem to have
right.
So they engage in shady and psychologically manipulative practices. And again, I did a video called The Social Media Will Rewire Your Brain. And I went through actual studies about that. And it is true. It reduces their memory. It reduces their ability to pay attention. Just having social media at all.
Yeah, well, the other point that David brings up, and I don't remember the exact timestamp, but the other thing that he brings up is, I mean,
there's a parent role to be discussed in the whole conversation, no doubt.
There is a parent role which he brings up. The other point that he brings up, which I'll just kind of sum up, is yes, there is a problem with child exploitation. The problem here is
I don't think repealing Section 230 addresses it.
Right. Well, the problem here, the thing that a lot of people, myself included, are worried about is, sure, I would love legislation that could make child exploitation online harder, ideally impossible, right? My concern, and the concern of several other people, are that this is going to lead to just more censorship and free speech.
Of course it will.
In Congress, but
it also won't address, this is my point, it won't even address that problem. Right. This is a problem that these companies don't even care to address themselves, right? Which they could much easier. They're so busy trying to like we make the joke, they banned you for what? The most lame shit in the world. But YouTube's another one. There are child predators that operate on YouTube. They go on, they had to shut down the whole comment section because they would go on kids' videos of children, and they would timestamp them for good pics to share with each other. So these websites, they'll police one thing, which is your basic bitch free, jokes, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? Or even true crime. YouTube true crime is the worst way to listen to it now, because it's all essay this, and they can't say murdered, so they're unalived and all this shit, and it doesn't even flow, and it doesn't tell a good story, and they're dancing around words. Yeah. Censorship has gone wild, but child predation is rampant on their platform.
Yeah,
where the fuck is their priorities?
Yeah, and that's exactly the point that that David Sachs makes later in the podcast is that, look, a lot of these politicians may be making claims that they're going to do a lot for for child exploitation, and they should, but they're actually not going to. They're going to censor. They're going to censor, people who just want to make jokes or talk up, guns or
And
harmless
it used
things.
to be the fucking right wing, but I'm telling you, I talk to people across the spectrum because I try and be polite and kind,
Yeah.
And I'm hearing the same thing from left wing people. They're fed up with the censorship too. They can't tell jokes either. They can't have little memes or like, oh my God, you're slightly off color. You got to worry about your job, right?
Yeah,
That's not normal. Normal people aren't like that. Normal people tell off color jokes sometimes. Oh my God, it's the end of the world.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, I mentioned my interview with Terrence McCauley earlier, but Terrence and I were kind of chuckling because we talked out, the Kennedy assassination for a large chunk of, the interview. Obviously, because the book the novella he wrote and the trilogy that he's writing right now is centered around the JFK assassination. You can't even post podcast about that now because it's considered like misinformation.
My buddy, I've been shilling the podcast for Sictanic, because his mom was murdered, right? He said he'd come on the show, so I don't want to spoil anything. I can't spoil anything because he's kept it under wraps. But essentially, he came into contact with a podcast, and they did an investigation, and he found answers to his mom's murder. All these years later, almost 40 years later, and it's like they had to be so careful with even the trailer on YouTube for what is a story that should be told. And they were really careful too and big props to him. It's Madhouse Crime Podcast, I believe. They treated her with the utmost respect, which is what is the problem. Is the system didn't treat her with much respect because she was essentially a prostitute. But she was his mom,
that episode
bro.
was really good last night.
Yeah, she was his mom. She was a human being, and they swept it under the rug. There's police corruption. It's a gut-wrenching story, and he just wants to share it with the world. He's not, I don't think, making a dime off this.
Yeah, no, we talked, you and I did, and I'd love to have him on. And I haven't listened to that podcast yet.
You should,
but I'm
It's
going.
really good, Sam.
I'm going to probably.
It's 4 parts because it's such a story. And everybody kept it under wraps for various reasons. There's people downplaying it. But the base premise, like, I'll tell you what the premise is because it's not a spoiler of anything. And yeah, he did agree. He said he'd come on the pod. He said it would be an honor. And because no one wants to hear his fucking story, and his story is amazing. So she was a prostitute, essentially, or something to that effect. And so the cops kind of swept it under the rug because it was the 80s,
Yeah.
And they didn't really care about if a prostitute got murdered, right? And now, you would say sex worker if you're trying to be politically correct. But essentially, it doesn't really matter because my point is the same. Whatever you want to call her, she was a mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they swept this mother's brutal murder, under the rug. And her abuse at the hands of a police officer, essentially. And there were, luckily, there were cops that kept records of everything. In a lot of these cases, they aren't. But it took a FOIA request. It took actual private investigators in a 2-year investigation into his mother's murder. Jennifer, her name was Jennifer. I think that's important. And it seems to me, I don't know how the story ends because this is something he's kept under wraps, but it seems to me he has some closure from it. And yeah, and I mean, he's also like, he's a trooper, man. I've known of him for a long time. I think I even had him on a radio show way back in like the early 2000s.
Well, that
and he's had cancer twice.
oof.
You know,
Just what Jennifer went through in her early life. Holy shit.
yeah, it's but I always like to point out, as horrific of a story as his is, you know, he turned himself into one of the more successful and even notorious underground independent artists of his day. And he turned that pain into something that he shared with other people and made it into a career. And so I say that he's, you know, fucking awesome. You know what I mean? But it's a tough story to hear. And
Yeah.
I was helping him promote it, and I was like, well, if you can come on. I mean, I think of considering we have crime authors like on the show all the time, I think it's of similar
Yeah.
interest, and he's an interesting person.
I was actually going to say, I don't know if you've read any of Michael Connolly's Harry Bosch books, but the premise of the Harry Bosch novels is that Bosch is an LAPD police detective
It sounds familiar.
whose mother actually was a prostitute and she got murdered.
Yeah.
So Harry essentially becomes a cop in order to solve his mother's murder. And
well, in his case, he got bullied.
Right.
And he turned it into like his music. And I will say this, for our audience, his music might be a tad shocking. Because he's the king of like horrorcore, dude. He's like, well, Loki's the king of horrorcore. I'm in the video that he says that, so I should. But and Satanic wouldn't call his stuff horrorcore either. It's like occult rap. His is different because he plays actual instruments on most of it, where a lot of rappers don't, because he's a really talented guy. And that's what always drew me to his music. Like, he's got a full like metal band. And he's got a great metal scream, and he channeled that anger into something that helped a lot of people. And he actually had a reputation, even when I was around, of like, people would say shit like oh, Satanic at his shows, he beats up his fans and all this stuff, and like tell crazy, like he had to be and then I went and saw a show, and he just got real passionate. It wasn't like what people would say. It's kind of a Marilyn Manson thing where they would play it up.
Yeah.
And it was shocking, no doubt. Like, his shows were intense, but not like people were like, he's throwing broken glass. So, you know, just like everything crazy. And you're like, wow, for me, I got to see this guy. You know what I mean? And then I did. And it was like, oh, he's a really intense performer.
That reminds me of another individual who said, "Oh my God, there's this crazy guy who's bullying me on the internet. He's the meanest guy ever." And then I'm like, I've got to check that guy out. And then Max,
the internet bully.
It's actually, believe it or not, it's been a whole year this week since you became one of the podcast co-hosts, and B, since YouTube banned me for eulogizing my grandfather. So
what a wild year, huh?
Yeah. So
it's still like, I think we were even messaging the other day. It's still a little surreal that you've become like an author, and talking to really interesting people every week. That was the premise when I came on, right? I was like, we need to get guests because Sam is such a great interviewer, and I just want to point to the audience, like, I don't help with that at all. Like, Sam books his guests, records the show, and posts it, and half the time I'm like, oh, you did a show?
Well, on Mondays,
producer, I am.
On Mondays, I mean, Max is a dad, so Mondays, I assume, you've got your son in school, and
but you quietly turned that Monday, just chill thing you were doing into like the show. It's great. it's great.
Yeah.
I've been watching all of them. I was watching the Terrence one today, and man, it's so good.
What's surreal to me too is like he's offered to be like a beta reader for my upcoming
Sick, yeah. No, totally.
book, and
That's cool.
It's amazing
You
what
know-
being nice to people will do, huh?
yeah, it's
It's almost like there's a moral to this story or something.
you know, it's almost like it's almost like getting high on it's almost like smoking weed crack isn't a good way to go, or
Yeah, smoking your own supply isn't a good thing.
Yeah, it's crazy because there's like thousands of years of people just smoking weed and not having seizures. But you know,
Or,
you gotta dab it up, bro, and then go. I love the mic part too because he pushes the mic out of the way. That's great. And he horse neighs.
I love the fact that like that he finally that like Medicare got to count on the second one too. That was great.
The feds would have shot the dog.
Poor Mersh finally got recognized by Jim.
I mean, what was the worst thing Mersh had on you? Is like you picked your nose when you were really drunk one time.
Yeah.
At least you didn't have a stroke twice in like a month.
Well, he also kept making like stuttering impressions of me where he would like impersonate some stutter, but what I find funny is that his actual stutter is like way worse.
And still trying to go
way
for the joke.
worse than his impression of you. Yeah.
So, also it's probably a good idea not to sexually harass your fans.
Universal
Johnny,
true.
But
we're not talking about that asshole much anymore. I got big plans. We're gonna be dramatic and theatrical, just like his life. Yeah, don't creep on your fans, especially on a live stream in chat. That's so tacky. Even if I don't know, but if you do get creepy with fans, and Sam, you got to remember this: if you get creepy with people, have friends who will hold you to account, and then you can laugh there with a shit-eating grin, like it was like a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
And then move on with your life, or don't be mean to them so that they don't release it in the first place. That's big think.
What a concept.
Being nice to people, fucking wild. Have you been watching the Dave videos I've been linking, Sam? Have you been keeping up with the Dave-averse? Because it's amazing right now.
I haven't, but I have pineapple tastes like pineapple stuck in my head. Thanks to you.
Bro, the best part about the current season of Dave is like he's at his weirdly wackiest where he repeats himself a lot, but also it's the season of New York in the distance, right? Because he's an exile, right? And so if anything reminds him of or brings up New York, he just starts screaming in the middle of his video like a madman, and then goes back to what he was saying. It's the greatest thing ever. He's like, yeah, and the pineapple tastes like pineapple. And if I was in New York, I'd have better pineapple. I wish I was in New York. Anyway, pineapple tastes like pineapple. And my robot, I have like an AI run YouTube account, Robo Reviewer, right? You know, Beep Boop, my robot. Beep Boop is in Dave's comment section, and Beep Boop apparently is really interested in what the pineapple tastes like. And so every video Dave does, it asks what the pineapple tastes like. And if Dave asks a question, like he asked how many households, how many flashlights the average household has, Beep Boop gave him an answer. And then in return, he answered your question. What does the pineapple taste like, Dave? So hold on, because the punchline is the best part. Dave right now is at war with a robot over the taste of pineapple. I love the internet, bro.
Best. Well, I mean, to be fair, if I imagine if I were a robot, I would be curious what pineapple tastes like.
Right. Beep boop. Hey, beep boop. He gets his interests and he really is interested in what the pineapple tastes like. I'm glad my wife left the room because she is so annoyed by Dave's what does the pineapple taste like that she would be hitting me right now. Like for sure. Right upside my fucking stupid head for talking about the pineapple. So I'm glad that she left so that I can gloat about my robot fighting Dave. And the thing is Dave will believe that it's a robot.
I mean, why wouldn't he?
Yeah, why wouldn't it? If robots are out to get him after all, you know?
Yeah.
That's a normal thing in Dave's world. So you just be a robot in his comment section and talk like a robot and ask him what the pineapple tastes like. And Dave doesn't know what to make of this. So he just says, really, Gina? Really?
See,
and then, you just keep doing it until he blocks you.
See, like if
horrible human being, Sam.
If I didn't know any better, I would assume that like Dave was a fictional character and I could put him in my novels. But see, Dave's like
the
real
first
life.
thing about Dave, everybody asks or suggests is that he's faking it. That there's no way Dave could be like this. But I assure you, I have been Dave watching for 10 years, and there's guys that have been Dave watching for about 20. And it is not a troll. This is a real man who lives his life. And he does these YouTube videos. And I keep asking, as you watch, like, who is his audience? And the only answer I can come up with, Sam, is me. That's it. I'm literally his audience. And it's beautiful because his shit's art, man. It's schizo art. Like, it's like they call it outsider art. You know what I mean?
I have like watched a few of his clips, not like lately, but the best way I can describe him is like a schizo version of the Truman Show. If you've ever seen that.
Yeah, and his favorite movie is not that, but it's The Conversation, which is about a guy who believes his house to be bugged by the FBI, so he rips it all apart. And he posts clips of that movie all the time. And he once did a video where he's like, guys, there's something in the sky, a big white thing in the sky. And he looks out the window and it's the moon. And he's like, they're watching me. Oh my God. Did you see the episode where I played his phone call to the local school?
Yes.
Oh my God. And he was telling them that they can't have the bus drive by his house because he might want to walk around naked. And then when the lady said, no, it has to go, that's the way that it's safest, he said he threatened to go down there and really show them.
Yeah.
Dave is special. I've been sitting here the last couple days watching some of Dave's the new shit with my wife. And I mean, he drives her crazy, which is half of the fun. But the pineapple tastes like pineapple, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's
what
been
does the pineapple taste like?
Shut up.
Perfect timing. So
yeah. I don't know. I consider Dave's work to be the highest form of art on the internet.
He probably doesn't even realize that it's art, and that's the best thing.
No, I was listening because I'm going back trying to archive Dave's stuff because it's good. And like everybody wants to look at that fucking one guy that I'm not even going to mention his name tonight. And yeah. But like Dave, there's no victim, so it's kind of even fun, except Dave.
We're forgetting about the one innocent victim. That poor fucking cat.
Okay, the cat is I don't know. Have you seen Dave's cat, Sam?
No.
Okay, so this moron that's like bad at everything in life and like mildly like, you know, schizophrenic, moves into a mobile home because his mom moved him out to Delaware. That's why he's so mad about going to New York, because he loves New York. He's like obsessed with Dutchess County, New York. And because that's his like thing, you know, got a Wapner in 10 minutes kind of deal. You know what I mean? gotta see Wapner, you know. Dave's like, gotta be in New York, gotta go over the hills. I like hills. There's no hills here. And so he's freaking out. And they moved him into the mobile home next door. They rented out the one next door and just said for him to take care of it. And in the mobile home, under the thing was the guy's cat. And it lives outside, but it lives under the doorstep. And so Dave is also charged with, you know, take care of the mobile home, take care of the cat, and take your meds, right? That's Dave's life. That's what he's charged with in life. And the cat, he does videos of it. And I was like, oh, well, Dave's doing a video with a cat. That's probably key. That's more wholesome than what he usually does. And he never screamed at it or nothing. But that cat looked at Dave the way I look at Dave. Like he's the dumbest person I've ever seen. That cat was straight up sitting in that it had a little box, right? And it was snowing outside. And that cat looked at him exactly like I look at him, like, are you stupid, motherfucker? Are you actually this dumb? It is snowing. Go away. He put out a bowl of treats. The cat's like, and he just like dead stared at him, like, go away, stupid.
Just like, fuck you.
Like, fuck you. If fuck you was a look, that was the look the cat had. I love it. Dave and his cat, man. This is great entertainment. See, who cares about the fucking news? Let's talk about Dave. Fucking love Dave.
Yeah.
As it drives off all the viewers.
Yeah.
Now, what else do we got, though?
David.
Dave's less retarded than Nikki Haley, huh? How about Nikki Haley getting beat by literally nobody?
Yeah, which honestly, like I didn't know that until you mentioned it to me right before the show.
Doubled. She got doubled. It was 60% for none of the candidates and 30% for Nikki Haley, and Trump wasn't on the ballot.
Well, I did see on Twitter, and I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get like copyrighted by NBC. But her big thing this week was that she did like the cold open for SNL, and she thought that like that was somehow going to like get her
about Saturday Night Live in 2024. When's the last time they were considered to be funny?
Like the 90s when
like the 90s was like Norm and fucking Chris Rock and Adam Sandler and it's been a long fucking time since they were funny or relevant. So who gives a shit?
But no, that was like her big grandiose moment in this week, and you know,
she's starting to take L's that would make DeSantis jealous, and he's the L master.
Well, like at this point, DeSantis is probably like kicking himself. He's like, DeSantis is about like, shit, I shouldn't have dropped out now because this
because I could beat literally nobody. The high bar, bro. She lost to literally nobody because she's so bad. Nikki Haley, no one. And you know, I wish more Americans would start voting for no one. I think no one would do a better job than most of the politicians we have in office now, if you want the honest truth. Just leave them unfilled and see what happens.
I would agree with that. Like,
look, no one won't be passing laws to get inside your fucking bedroom. And no one isn't gonna pass any big tax bills, and no one will start any wars.
No one's not going to be sending audits for different political groups to the IRS.
Yeah, and no one isn't going to be sending nudes to an intern either.
Right. Well,
and no one isn't going to be having gay sex on the floor of the Senate.
True.
And no one, hold on, and no one is going to take Bill Clinton's cigar and never mind, maybe too much. And create pussy smoke.
Is your wife laughing or crying? I can never tell.
She's cringing, which is the best. That's what I go for.
Well,
you got to put in extra work for cringing, and even more for violence.
Yeah. One of these days, Max, you're just gonna disappear, and I'm gonna be like, "What happened to Max?" And she's just gonna say, "Well, he did X, Y, Z," and I'll be like, "Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all."
No. If I go, it was a conspiracy. Blame it was the Fox man and the clown. Well, the way she's looking at me right now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, I thought you would have said Hillary Clinton. You don't have any, but you don't have any information that could lead to the arrest of the Clintons. So
no, but I have information that could lead to the arrest of Sam Whitfield. Ladies and gentlemen, he does massive amounts of PCP on a regular basis. You can tell.
So he can stand up.
Yeah.
How?
Then he runs out and gets a milkshake.
How
you get a milkshake? He came on the show and testified to this live on air on the Whitfield Report. What say you?
Well,
and to be fair, what did you respond with? You responded with a picture of yourself, right? And that picture, was you standing up.
Yeah, well, it was a picture of me not wearing it. Well, I wouldn't say it was a picture of me standing up. It was a picture of me not wearing a shirt. I don't know how that could. I don't know how me not wearing a shirt.
Sam. We measured the fucking posts. You got caught out living color. Johnny Fox was right. You're faking it.
Well,
and then audience off air one time, I was sitting in here and he was like, "Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta go do something." And my wife watched him stand right up, and then when he came back, he didn't even come back and sit down. He blinked into existence, audience. I propose that Sam is not a cripple, ladies and gentlemen. That he is in fact a leprechaun.
Damn it! I've been figuring. The truth is out there now. I've been exposed,
and I'm starting to think
cripple, I agree.
Deep. I'm starting to think that all cripples are leprechauns, and that's why you guys have cripple magic, like in the X-Men.
Oh my god!
Plead the fifth.
I mean,
neither one denies it, ladies and gentlemen. You be the judge. I'm put up a poll on Twitter. Is Sam Whitfield a leprechaun?
You know what? I can't even deny that one. That Stanley exposed us all,
I plead the
guess.
fifth.
Yeah, see, they'll both they
Well-
aren't even gonna confirm nor deny it. I've cracked this case wide open.
Well, I can confirm that I do have magic.
That's
of
what I'm saying.
Some kind.
It's because you're a leprechaun. I knew it.
Goddamn comic writer.
I knew it the first time I talked
mean-
to you. I was like, this guy's a leprechaun.
I mean, leprechauns are pretty charming.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
usually,
And I figured you
And
got to
yeah,
have a
you
pot
can
of
imagine.
gold hidden somewhere. Probably at the end of a rainbow.
I mean,
That's what the PCP is for.
I mean,
How you find that rainbow, you know what I mean?
I wish I had a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. So, although I'm not so sure.
Okay,
that
so
I'm
right now I want you to deny, like on the record, having a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow.
I mean, I'm not Jewish, so I wouldn't have a pot of
Oh.
gold at the end of a rainbow.
I see. No, you got to deny. You gotta be
And
specific. You're dodging the question. It makes
Denied.
you seem more and more like a leprechaun all the time. You gotta say, I, Sam Whitfield, do not have a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow.
Sam Whitfield. Well, I'm Irish. Do not have a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. You know, if I really
believe.
wanted to be, if I
What
wanted to be
happened?
an
Did
asshole,
they steal it from you or something?
Yeah, those fucking Scots, man.
Ah,
They
that
always
butchered
be
them.
stealing the.
Yeah.
They always be stealing the Irishman's pot of gold.
What about you, Morpheus?
So-
You got a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow somewhere?
I, Morpheus, do not have a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow somewhere.
Okay. I believe him. See, Sam was a little sus about it, but I believe Morpheus. But I'm still, I don't know. My thesis is that the cripples, our vast network of secret leprechauns, is still on the table.
See, though,
We do have triple magic.
It's look,
I do have.
it's more believable than most of the QAnon bullshit, is all I'm saying. Look at him. Does he not seem like a leprechaun? And then he'll smile because he gets awkward with this kind of shit. And then you'll be like, oh, yeah, I see it.
I mean, I smile because I'm charming.
That's it. That's it.
Whatnot.
And that's why you're a leprechaun. I mean,
And
of course. Leprechaun will talk you into anything. I'm starting to understand what's going on here. I've been taken over by the leprechauns.
Well, I tried to convince Mersh to be nice. He told me to basically fuck off, and now he's having horse seizures. So you be the judge.
Yeah, we tried to convince another guy to be nice, and he ended up with a feud with like a furry, a witch, and a clown. It was like, what? How did this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A furry witch and a clown walk into a bar.
Insanity, man. It's crazy.
So I do know that Morpheus has some gaming news too. I think right, or didn't you
used his leprechaun magic to break into some gaming studios and leak some good shit? That's what I would do if I had leprechaun magic.
Well, speaking of gaming, can you talk about Suicide Squad yet, or are you?
Yeah, it's out, so I can totally tell everybody that like the reviews talking about how bad it, because people will play a game if it's said to be really, really bad just because. It's not even that kind of bad. It's aggressively.
It's not so bad. It's good.
No, it's aggressively mediocre. It's not even bad. It's got bugs, like fixed. If you play the game when the bugs are like mopped up, it's mid as fuck. And the only people who would really like it is if you're like obsessed with Suicide Squad. There are some funny jokes, but there's a lot of bad jokes too. It is what it is. I beat the whole thing in the closed alpha or whatever that I couldn't talk about in like 2.5 hours. I'm sure it's longer than that now. Like they padded it out to make the full campaign, but it's a short game. It might be fun to play with a friend. The travel powers are all right. Like Harley Quinn plays like Spider-Man, and Deadshot, it's Deadshot, I think, plays with the jetpack, right? And the shark guy is like the Hulk. He jumps in the air. That shit's all right. But here's the thing. There are countless better looter shooters that you could play with your friends, and most of them are free. So unless you really like the Suicide Squad characters, there's nothing for you because it's so mid. But if you like bad games, it's not even that, because you'll be like, there's some bugs to laugh at, I guess, but it's not. The writing's kind of bad, but some of it's okay. I don't know. Everything about it is mid.
I heard when it finally came out, people were literally popping it open, and it was auto completing.
Yeah. Or just all kinds of stupid bugs. But like, bro, it's $70 is what's the real problem. You want $70 for your game, and it's like meh at best. When like a lot of games, let me give you an example. Warframe is a fucking fantastic looter shooter.
So good.
And it's free. And you can mostly just play that game for free forever and see everything. It helps to buy like a couple weapons that you want specifically instead of grinding them out. But like it's a free game, it's a looter shooter, and you're a ninja in space with guns. Suicide Squad can't even come close to competing. There's so many different bosses to fight, different weapons, and you level up each weapon, and it doesn't take very long. And then you go looting for more weapons to craft so you can have more weapons. Suicide Squad, you will beat the whole game, even with a friend, even dicking around, maybe trying to do all the side missions in like 8 hours.
I know it's like a loot service game. So, but like, do you have
the last looter shooter that I actually bought and enjoyed was Division 2.
Yeah, Division 2. That's the one I would recommend. Like, I actually prefer Division 2 as a looter shooter, especially right now if you get the Warlords of expansion. The story's great in Warlords, even if you haven't followed the whole fucking story. But the shooting is great. It's fun. I have like a max level character on both Xbox and PC for the Division 2. That's how much I like it. And I have like every gear set you could possibly want so that I can do different builds. Yeah, Division 2 nails it in a way like Diablo 2 nailed loot, right? It made it feel like it was worth going out and getting extra things just to fuck around. But no, you could get Suicide Squad where it's like, here's +3 to your fucking gun. The loot's boring too, but just like everything else about the game. No, I've been playing a game that everybody shits on, and that's Diablo 4.
I've been playing. I recently played a game that's like so bad it's almost good, and that's like Rocky City, or I think that's what it's called. It's the one that like they hired Chuck Norris to like.
Yeah, it's like Payday, but a corny 80s movie, and I kind of dig that vibe.
Yeah, it's so like it's so bad it's almost good. Like it has glitches, but
Right.
I think the glitches are like almost intentional.
Besides
So-
Diablo 4. Yeah, one thing. Everybody hates on Diablo 4. I've played season 2 and now season 3 of it. And I had fun. I think the people complaining about it are the biggest nerds in the world that get obsessed with it. And I'm not going to get to, like, I'm rare in that I'll get to level 100 in a
I've been
Diablo
mostly
game.
playing BG3.
Most people are going to beat the campaign and be done with it. But I'll play till level 100 and I'll do the seasonal shit because I've been playing Diablo for 20 fucking years, right? And I'm having fun with it, but the other
Yeah.
nerds are like, "Oh, it's broken, it's dead, it's the end of the fucking world." I don't know. If you're like a dad that doesn't have a million hours, it's a lot of fun. It's easy to keep track of. But also, I was playing Marvel Midnight Suns. I don't know if you guys have heard that one. It's like a tactical turn-based Marvel.
Yeah, I had.
It's all right. You make a hero, and I didn't realize because the XCOM games, they call you the commander, and it's the same studio, and you're not really a playable character in the game. So I just made it like the most basic bitch character model, and suddenly I'm the chosen one of the universe. I was like, huh, maybe I should have put more thought into that. But I hate character creators, so it's fine.
Vaguely, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's like it's set in like the Midnight Sun universe section of Marvel, which is very supernatural heavy. And so they bring Lilith the demon back from like wherever the hell demons are. Hell probably. And you get a guy, and then you get a whole team of like Marvel superheroes, but it's not the Avengers. So it's like Blade, Ghost Rider, there's some big ones. There's Iron Man and Wolverine, but like it's the Midnight Suns, so it's a specific set of characters. And the one I got come with all the DLC too, so it's got like Deadpool as like a vampire hunter and shit.
Is it better than the Avengers game that came out? Like a few
yeah. It's a turn-based
years ago.
tactical game with cards, but that sounds bad, but for a lot of people, but it's more like it's like that plus XCOM with Marvel characters, so big flashy animations of like special moves and shit. Yeah, it's a good little fun, especially on the Steam Deck. I still been meaning I should go play the fucking Harry Potter game, but like I ruined my wife's save and felt bad about it. So I haven't touched that since, but I hear it's good. I don't like Harry Potter particularly, but if it's a prequel or whatever, I should play that.
No, like that's the funny thing, right? Is like originally everyone bought Hogwarts Legacy to like own all the trans activists that were like shitting on it.
Yeah.
But it's actually a decent game. It's actually like a really decent game. And like I'm not even into Harry Potter and I like it. So
yeah. Of course, RoboCop. Yeah, my point being, before we get too off in the weeds with games and bore everybody to tears, is there's a million games better to spend your $70 or less on than Suicide Squad because it's mediocre. Not because it's bad. It's not like if you really like Suicide Squad, you might have fun with it for a couple hours. But that's all it is. It's a couple hour game that you're supposed to play it forever, but most people won't, right? It's a live service.
Well,
so they'll put out new content in 6 months, but most people won't go back to it because it's boring and it didn't stick in their mind. If you like Suicide Squad, playing the story might be fun because it is kind of fun killing Justice League members, I have to admit. But they also went way over the top with it, like they pissed on the Flash's corpse, literally.
I saw that.
They didn't seem to know where the line of edgy was when they made that game, but whatever. If you're into that, it might be a fun
Um,
little game, but most people won't be, and I don't think it's worth $70 when you can get so many better like indie games and shit for cheaper, or buy some indie books.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's way less than $70.
Buy
Isn't it?
yeah, it's like $9.99.
Damn.
So
So wait, you could get like 7 of Sam's book for the price of Suicide Squad. That sounds like a
you
bargain.
could probably get like 8.
Yeah. Well, you talk
Yes.
to Sam, you probably get a deal on that shit. That is spectacular. Value.
Yes, in fact,
ladies and gentlemen.
that gives me an idea. Everyone, instead of spending money on Suicide Squad, should just go and buy 8 copies of my book.
That's what I'm saying. Fuck Suicide
Um,
Squad. Just buy 8 copies of Shadows of Deception. Show them
Yeah.
that their mediocre garbage will not stand by buying Sam's book in bulk and giving it to everybody you know. And ladies and gentlemen, if that's not a good enough reason, let me give you another reason. Every copy sold, okay, goes towards Sam's ego.
Goes to a cripple.
Getting a little bigger, right? And then so when we make him uncomfortable, like right now, right, it's a little bit funnier. And for that reason, ladies and gentlemen, you should buy Shadows of Deception. I rest my case. Sam, you have the floor.
Well, no, the other thing too is when the new book comes out, when the fourth estate comes out, I am going to raise the price of the print book a little bit, but that's just because I'm using a higher quality paper.
Raising the quality. I like it.
So
you're not raising the quality. Cost, you're raising the quality.
But I'm also going to be discounting the ebook too. So
damn,
a little bit.
What value?
So we're I've been talking to some authors and
shilling, but I'm pretty good at it, huh?
Heeding some advice. Yeah, well, I hate. Well, see, I don't see this as shilling so much as sales.
I try and make it at least fun, right?
I'm
but
well,
no,
hey,
legitimately,
at least
you gotta buy Sam's book though. And what does the pineapple taste like, Sam? Sam, what does the pineapple taste like?
A pineapple tastes like pineapple. Although, like, what if a pineapple? Hear me out, Max. What if a pineapple just tasted like an apple?
Damn. Then why would it be pine?
We need to ask. Well, see, those are the questions that only Dave can answer.
An interview with Dave on the show and taking him completely seriously as a guest would be the funniest thing in the world, but it'll never happen. Shmuley legitimately tried to get him to do, and this was years ago. They were going to do an advice show for romance. This was when Shmuley was a young man and had no experience with ladies. And so the idea was be a young guy that had no experience with the ladies and an old guy with no experience with the ladies. We're going to tell young men how to get the ladies. You see? That was going to be gold. You're going to pay Dave $30 per episode and he still wouldn't do it.
That sounds like a hilarious idea for a sitcom, actually.
Yeah. So, we thought of that. A buddy sitcom with Shmuley and Dave.
You know what else is pretty funny is I saw in the guild you posted the Shmuley video on the Holocaust, him versus I I actually saw that. I actually saw that stream. That was like the last stream of the art-hearted conservative that I saw, and then I was like, "That's too much, man." But no, like I had actually offered to like interview the art-hearted conservative on my show, and he actually turned me down because
Dodged bullet,
my
did
show.
you?
Not well. Not only did I dodge a bullet, but believe it or not, Max. His
Hey
reason
there, I'm the
for like turning me
art-hearted
down.
conservative, and we're here today to say some QAnon bullshit, asserted as truth, provide no evidence of it, and then act like a tough guy, you know?
his reason for turning me down though is hilarious, Max. Are you ready? His reason for turning me down was because my show isn't big enough, so why would I waste my time
He's on
coming on your
DUI.
show?
He stopped his
No,
show.
I know, but
Talk about outlasting, you know? Everybody just stops their show because they don't get a million viewers because, you know, maybe the guy from Boston who's angry all the time and kind of stupid bit worked for a little while, but it gets tiresome and you're not, you know, your audience is very limited. It's the same with a lot of people, right? Like maybe you might do a YouTube stream about like videos about scammers from India, right? And let's say you build up a little audience on these scam videos, you know, and like you know, if you act like an asshole, right, to those people, it turns bad. You see what I'm saying, Sam?
yeah. Well, it's funny
but
it's funny
also
because like
the alternate to this little fable, right, is you could be the based Chad Sam, who is nice to people and befriends them, and makes content that he can be proud of and that he's not ashamed of, and publishes a book and it's successful because it's good, right? That's the flip side of the coin. That's what I would prefer to be.
And then who also gets acknowledged as like an actual peer by like actual successful authors.
By people so famous, we're kind of in awe that they would take the time. It's humbling, right? I'm on the same
not only that,
as some of these guys, and I'm just like, wow, you know, that's impressive.
Yeah. It you know, we won't
not where we
stay on for too
expected
much.
to be a year ago, is it?
I don't want to stay on for too much longer, but I will say this. I do think that like you know, I will admit like people were upset that I didn't start another YouTube channel you know, immediately. And we talked about it. We've considered it. I mean, if YouTube, here's the thing. If YouTube weren't banning like other normal channels out there, I would consider it. But
and
look, we really haven't lost anything
monetization and worried about getting banned every week. And then you would technically they would be able to ban you just for being there, right? Because it's ban evasion. And I pointed out that that's kind of like that's not because you're more professional than that, right? And you use your real name and you're not running from anybody. And the way I see it, if they think that we're not good enough on it's one of those things of like, oh, I'm not wanted here. Well, then I didn't want to be here anyway. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know? And in doing that, we embraced Rumble and Spotify and all these other places, and it's paid off big time. You know, a lot of people are sick of YouTube.
Yeah.
Bullshit. They ain't just us.
Yeah. So you know, I think I actually, you know, I think we've had more success. I think we've had more success. I think the I think the biggest thing too is like my guests have been able to like talk openly and freely about like whatever they want to do. Not that like any of them are really like edge lords, but like you know, Terrence McCauley talked a bit about, you know, his crime novels that were like set in the 1930s. Apparently talking about prohibition is now frowned upon on YouTube for some reason, even though that was a historical event.
That's what I'm saying. It makes it hard for my friend to promote his. Like, there's nothing wrong with the story.
Places like
that he's
YouTube want to
telling,
rewrite history.
right? But they have to be careful about what
Yeah.
words they say. That's actual things that have happened to real people. It's insane. The level, like YouTube goes in the exact direction you were worried about, right? Where they over censor stuff, including like documentaries about real events, which is crazy. Like that's what YouTube should be for. That's kind of what drew me to YouTube originally when it was a young platform, was the longer form documentary content.
So historical documentary is bad, but actual like beheading live streams that can stay up for like 8 hours and nobody has a problem.
Yeah, you eulogizing your granddad is immediately take him down. Guy dancing around with his dad's severed fucking head, that gets 6 hours, right? Good.
Yeah.
Lord. The state of fucking YouTube, Sam. The absolute state of that godforsaken planet. You guys wonder why we don't go back? Is because I have contempt for it. Look at what they're garbage.
And for me, I have contempt for it, and not only that, but like, you know, we say that they banned me for eulogizing my grandfather, and people are like, "Are you serious?" And the truth is, for those who are unfamiliar, because I know we have some new viewers, they literally never told us why the channel got banned. They just said I violated terms of service. But I was in the middle of eulogizing, of like talking at my grandfather, and then they cut me off like in the middle of that stream.
Yeah, luckily you were like you were recording or streaming to another platform or whatever. So like we have that. That episode is still up somewhere, but the YouTube one got caught halfway and he didn't even know because he wasn't looking at chat because he was eulogizing his grandfather for a moment, right? So he's not reading chat, and I'm in there like, "Yo, I think they just banned us."
Yeah. And then I remember I got through my whole thing, and then I was like, "Oh, we got banned." Like, it was kind of sudden. But
and you finished the stream to
anyway.
Your too.
Yeah, and the next week we kind of went exclusive to Rumble and Spotify, and you know, the other thing too is like it's not a lot, but unlike YouTube, I actually get like a share of ad revenue from Rumble. And I wasn't getting that on
and I guess
YouTube
you know, we tend to only shield the book, but to say it, like Super Chats is 100% on Rumble, so that if you're the kind of person that's like, I don't want to give YouTube a cut, Rumble Super Chats, they give 100% to Sam.
Yeah, which is nice, and they also give us
the best cut in the business, by the way, by far.
They also give us Rumble Studio to use for free, and you know, it has its flaws, but it's a brand new product, and it's nice. It's like, it kind of reminds me of the old Google Hangouts, you know, for people who remember those. So
a little modernized, actually, if I would say. There's things they could do to make it a little better for sure, but for a standalone product that you get for just using the service, it's not bad. It's better than what YouTube
Yeah.
provides currently. Because YouTube stopped supporting Google Hangouts, as you know, famously. And basically, you could pick StreamYards, or there's a couple other ones, but they're all not as good as this, actually.
No, and you have to pay, and you have to pay for some of them too.
Yeah.
So
I'm honestly curious, Sam,
But-
what you think the gaming news was, because I can't think of anything.
I thought you had something that like
There were
I thought you
video
had
games.
something went real. I thought you had something Gwent related, but I could be wrong. So
Unfortunately, no. They stopped officially supporting Gwent at the end of last year. So
Rip.
Oh.
it's still up. You can still play it. It's just not officially updated and supported anymore. The community does it now.
Hey, that can
That's
be good.
fun.
There's a server for Warhammer Online, which is an old MMO based on Warhammer Fantasy, and it was great for PvP. And there's a pirate server of it that has not only kept the game up, but they've actually finished content that was in the original game that didn't get finished, and then they've made new content. Sometimes the fan run shit is the best.
Oh no! To be clear, it's still the official CDPR Gwent server, but all of the management and balancing is done by the community now.
Right. That's what I'm saying though. Like there's some like that. Actually, what is it? ArenaNet just officially, or what's their parent company? Nexon. I think it's Nexon. They officially recognized a City of Heroes private server and gave them an official license.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's the first time that's ever happened for a dead game like that, so it's pretty cool of them. And I've played on that private server, and it's a pretty good recreation of City of Heroes, which is still to this day the best superhero MMO.
Yeah.
Because you
By
could
far.
make pretty much any character you wanted. And then later on they added in like villains. You could be a villain. That shit was dope. The Warhammer Online, the server's called Return of Reckoning, and I play that sometimes because the thing that's cool about Warhammer Online and why I would want to go back to it at all is leveling in PvP is not only viable, but that's mostly how people play the whole game. Like when they get to max level, they quit and start a new character because the low level PvP in the open world is kind of the point of the game.
Oh, were you speaking of the live stream that happened today, Sam? Because I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
No, I don't think I was talking about that. I thought that you and Max were talking about like gaming news early in the weekend, that you had like a story or something for the show. But I could be wrong.
Probably.
So.
Do we have any updates on if handicap?
Well, if I did, I forgot about it. Couldn't have been that important then.
Do we have any updates on what?
Handicap parking?
Nope, still sucks.
All right. There's been your handicap parking update.
It still sucks, and able-bodied people are still hijacking it. So
yeah.
But
they're lucky you guys don't rise up.
Well, as Dave Chappelle put it, we're the only group that doesn't organize. So he's gonna make jokes. He's gonna make jokes about us now. Which, by the way, like, if Dave Chappelle were to roast me, I would be honored. So
right,
as would I.
That's the thing. That's why everybody stopped making fun of disabled people in general, right? Is because most of y'all have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Or
the show's two cripples and a Neanderthal. So,
or in some cases they don't get the joke, so it's fine too.
Yeah. There is a contingent out there that like believes that like Shmuley is deliberately being. I also love when people don't understand Shmuley's sense of humor. That's my favorite.
The best part is when he encounters somebody new and they can't tell if he's being serious or not, and I can't either. That's usually the case. I cannot tell if he's deadly serious or not.
Well,
I've
he's
known it
using
for
his
10 fucking years on the internet, right? 10 years on the internet. I've been chit-chatting with him. We've kept up, right? And I have no idea sometimes if he's trolling, even to me. Shmuley is an enigma.
Yeah.
So when our good nameless friend this week named
Who
him,
is Shmuley?
who is Shmuley? It was perfect. Yeah, who is Shmuley? That is the question, isn't it? Everybody wants to know, but who has the answers? Nobody, right?
Who? It's like who watches The Watchmen? Nobody knows.
But also, if you found out, would it live up to the Shmuley hype? Maybe some mysteries are meant to be left uncovered for later generations.
See, my experience, because I know some things about Shmuley that a lot of people don't know, is even if you were to solve the mystery of Shmuley, it would just lead into a bigger mystery. It's like Inception that way. The just when you think you figured it out, the Shmuley conspiracy, just evolves. So
he's a complex individual with many facets. But he was too busy for our humble show again.
Well,
too good for us, Sam.
Our lad has grown up, and we're very proud of him. So,
yeah, grown up to chase Poon, probably.
Yeah, well, hey, knowing him, I wouldn't be surprised.
Or he could be on a podcast with two crippled guys and a giant talking about politics. Instead, he's probably out with a girl. What a loser.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Fucking Shmuley.
Well, it's not like we don't have any female listeners on the show anymore.
Well,
although
you're a notorious ladies man. We know that.
Although I'm totally
you
Mike.
You made your name in Discord international man of, but it's too long, so I don't know. What are you an international man of?
International man of mystery.
Ah, yeah, okay.
International
It was a
man of
mystery
standing
what
up.
the last word was because it's too long for Discord names. So you're very mysterious in that way. They don't even know what you're an international man of. It's great. That's brilliant marketing there. Or you just don't realize that that's what it comes up for everybody else.
Thanks. It wasn't. I'll probably just shorten that to like author or something like that. So
author. Yeah. See, this is what I mean. Audience. I'm telling you, every book you buy contributes to the beginning of Sam's head. And so for just that reason, for my sake, for the hilarity of it, because he gets embarrassed even easier when you point it out.
and just to boost my ego.
Yeah, I just want to inflate it so big. I want him to start sending dirty voice messages to fans. Wait, never mind. That was somebody else. Right? Yeah, I want Sam's ego. Every book that gets sold of Sam's, his head gets progressively like slightly bigger. And so that reason alone, audience, I would prefer you to buy a copy of Shadows of Deception and to pre-order The Fourth Estate. Because if that does even better, this boy's head's not going to fit in frame anymore. He can be like me, with my giant forehead.
You know what? In all seriousness, though, if people do want to buy the book, please leave a review on Amazon.
And then when you're associated with several prominent female celebrities, they can say that they helped give you that ego, because the rise and fall of Sam Whitfield is going to be an amazing movie. It's going to be like
well, I mean, I'm not sure I can fall. I mean, I'm sitting down. So.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be great. It's going to be like Fear and Loathing in fucking Colorado.
Fear and Loathing in Florida, you mean?
No. The premise is you go back to Colorado and it's all fucked up and it seems like a dream.
Yeah.
And there's liberals everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, I'm just envisioning this now. For some reason, you're being chased by a witch. I don't know. It just came to me in a dream.
Maybe. Hold on. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know if that's a movie. Because I mean,
because you really are an international man of mystery. I like that. You said something earlier, and I pointed out to my wife it should be like the tagline for the show, but I forget what it was. It's something in one of the DMs today that you said that was so funny that I was like doubled over laughing.
I'm sure it was something I said off the cuff too. I didn't even realize how profound it was too.
Right. It was about being late. I know that. It was about how you're always late.
Oh. Triple time?
Yeah. Let me see here. So Sam is late. I don't know. I can't find it. But yeah, it was about you being late and you said something and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's just real. That's not even a joke." and then you were late. It was great. 10 out of 10. When has Sam ever started? See, he does the show all by himself, so that's why I don't want to take credit for that. But when has he been on time, ladies and gentlemen? Has that ever occurred? I don't think in my tenure here it has. Fashionably late, too, because it's not like you're so late that I'm worried you're not showing up. It's consistent.
Well, and I definitely am fashionably late too. For the people who are watching on.
I mean, look at you. You got your brown blazer. Do you have elbow patches? Let me see.
No, not on this. Not on this one.
because you prefer the clean style today. I got you. And the button down shirt, of course, top button unbuttoned because he is formal, but not completely formal. There's not
because I would.
He's not wearing a tie. We're not that stuffy of a show. So a gentleman can breathe.
I mean,
I like it. I get it.
I mean, but I do like wearing a tie, but not at like 11 at night.
Right.
So
That's what I'm saying. Fashionably late.
Definitely not.
He's 15 minutes late because he unbuttoned his collar.
Yeah. But anyway, any more topics for this evening? I think Nikki Haley lost to no one. Congress is probably going to fuck up the Congress is probably going to fuck up the internet, but not solve, child exploitation.
And the border. And they'll probably fuck the border up too. And they'll probably fuck other stuff up. We'll stay tuned for more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
What else do they do but fuck shit up?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So
big vote of confidence for Congress. Next, what else we got? Is Joe Biden alive still?
Apparently Joe Biden is like talking to dead French presidents now.
Based dementia-ridden old man. Gotcha. Economy still sucks. I know that. I've checked that.
Apparently he wants to debate.
What group of ethnically distinct from us people are we supposed to kill to this week?
Well, apparently Russia, because
right, yeah,
because Tucker wants to interview him, and that's bad.
Well, then we should just send all of our sons right over there to go get killed. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So same old bullshit. This could be the show. We could run down the news in 5 minutes this way. It's like, what else do we got? Oh, that's still bullshit. Okay, moving on. The police are still bullshit, like I said, with my boy's case. Obviously, we know that. And then, hey, if you're a cop out there and you're a good cop, like, more power to you. But you got to recognize, like, when you're on the bottom of the totem pole, sometimes it feels like none of y'all give a shit.
Yeah, no, I actually, the good cops tend to, I noticed, like, have a sense of humor about bad cop.
Yeah.
I'm not what I mean by that is
I'm not down with that all cops are bastards bullshit, right? Because that's dumb and counterproductive to like a healthy society.
But
you gotta call out the bad ones. You have to call out the bad ones because they ruin lives.
But also, like I saw a video pop up in my YouTube feed, which is Rucka Rucka Ollie's Go Cops song, which highlights police brutality. I put that in the Gilded too, and like even cops find it hilarious. I've noticed.
Yeah. Like if you're a cop out there working, like I respect a working man, you know. But if you're a crooked cop, you know, suck a fat dick. Drink bleach.
Here's not. Ooh, here's an idea.
They're just supposed to be the people you run to for safety, and when they're not that, you know, when they're the opposite of that, it really is profoundly destructive force in society.
I would like to, and I did offer a few years ago to actually like talk to someone from like Black Lives Matter, but then I also wanted to talk to a cop, and neither group agreed. But I would still very much
get a cop to talk, and I could talk to a cop like this because the kind of cop that would come on a show like that is probably one of the good ones anyway. Right. And so like we might end up talking
yeah
each other, or we'll come to an agreement. But the reality is that there's a lot of cops out there that act outside the line of duty, and even in some cases maliciously and deceptively. And you can't pretend that that's not real on the right wing just because you like cops, because the other side doesn't like cops. The other side doesn't like cops. There's a variety of reasons, and a lot of people are very justified in them, myself included. I still get like stressed out if I'm dealing with a cop, simply because abusive cops have dealt with me in the past in ways that they shouldn't have, you know?
Well, and I find that to be an interesting thing too, actually, is the fact that like that conservatives tend to like cops simply because the left doesn't. But
Yeah.
yet the cops will also be like the first ones to like want to confiscate guns and things like that too. So
the whoop whoop of a police siren in some areas is the scariest sound you could possibly hear, and everybody runs. And most of the people running ain't doing anything wrong. It's just you run, cop. That didn't develop out of nowhere, right?
right.
But no, if we admit that there's anything to that, then we're agreeing with the other side. And I'm like, I don't actually care. I'd just prefer people didn't get beat by cops. You see, that's my dog in the fight.
Yeah. The last show that I did with Apex Gamma though, he and I actually reviewed a police brutality video. The big difference is it was actually like black cops abusing another black guy. So therefore the media didn't really cover it that
It's
much.
not always a racial
So-
issue. It's sometimes it's just a power issue, right? Like I say, I got beat up by a white
Right.
cop. I'm white. He was white. It was still an abuse of power that shouldn't have happened, and that's kind of my dog.
Yeah.
I don't care what race anybody is. Cops shouldn't be doing it in a lot of cases. And then there's some cases where they're completely justified of force, and I'm not like so married to one side or the other that I won't admit both of those things can be true, right? There are cops that act completely justifiably within the line of duty. There are also cops who are horribly, maliciously abusive and manipulative and criminal in not a lot of cases, but in some cases. And it's a more complex issue than just pick a side, right? Because a lot of cops are working class Joes, right? A lot of cops are just looking for their coffee break and lunch break and then punch out and go home. And in a lot of cases, when they get into these confrontations, you're not only threatening them doing their normal job, but it's potentially threatening them not going home to their family, you know? So it's a tough situation.
Yeah, it is. And you know, and I guess like at least you're willing to recognize that, you know, it's more than just all cops are racist assholes. So
Right.
You know, and that's the
a
other thing.
lot of cops are just assholes. Enough of them to be a problem in society, whether they're racist or not.
Oh yeah, I'm not disagreeing with.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that I think the corporate media is also playing a big problem because they're very selective in which, you know, bad cop stories they cover.
Yeah, bad cop porn. They love bad cop porn. And they also like the victim to be a scumbag for some reason. I don't know why that helps. Because there's plenty of cases of police brutality where the victim's like actually a good person. And they don't use those. They use actual like gangbangers and stuff who do something wild, and they're like, yeah, poor them.
Yeah.
Weird dynamic, man.
Yeah, very weird dynamic. So it's almost like they're trying to you know, upend society or something.
Yeah. Almost like.
Funny that. The Fourth Estate comes out in March, ladies and gentlemen.
Pre-order to make Sam's. If you pre-order, Sam's head gets 2 sizes bigger. If you just buy the book, it's only 1, right? But if you pre-order, okay, his head actually grows 2 centimeters each time in circumference. It's provable.
Mm-hmm.
You guys go look at older episodes before he started selling books, and now his head is bigger.
My head is bigger, but I'm still nice. aren't I?
That's why it's so great, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you always have your
See,
trusty co-host to keep you in check.
Yeah, well,
And point out how much
that's the
PCP
thing.
you do on a regular basis.
Well, like that is how would I even like would I smoke PCP or inject it? Like how I must do so much PCP that I don't even know how I administer it. So like this is what I need to know.
That's details. It's fine. We all love and respect you, and we understand.
We okay, so we haven't figured that part out of the bit yet. Gotcha. So, all right. I don't think we have anything else to cover. Unless either you or Morpheus do.
Hey, we could do an hour about
But,
wheelchair ramps. I'm sure the audience would love that.
We could do an entire show on that probably.
Yeah, that's
But,
a special edition, isn't it? All right.
Yeah,
You got me there.
We might actually save that for like a Friday show or something. So, but
The Whitfield Report, wheelchair ramp edition. Oh my God, that's money.
It is.
That's your WrestleMania right there.
But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank Chibi, Witchcrafts, Evil Eric, who Evil Eric goes way back to the old days of the Whitfield Report on YouTube.
Is he evil?
Not well. I mean, apparently he's gay. So
I asked if he was evil, Sam. Jesus. You're gonna get his hands off our fucking Rumble at this point.
I mean, he says he's evil, but he also says that he only goes to gay bars. So, no, he's actually not
fine. I just love that. I asked if he was evil, and you're like, well, he's gay. It's like, what the fuck? Sam, it's so edgy tonight.
I mean, I'm edgy, but I'm still me. So
That's what I'm saying. That's why we need you to buy his book and grow his ego as much as possible, because it's hilarious. He's just dunking on motherfuckers now. And he could have dunked on somebody specific really hard tonight, and we've completely avoided that topic.
Yeah, well,
when we didn't. But subtlety helps,
Yeah, well, that same person is allegedly on vacation, so they're not watching, allegedly.
Oh, cool. Well, they wouldn't want to watch anyway because, it was an interesting show. And they're not used to that. Entertaining.
Yeah.
So is there any other dumb things we could say before we let the audience go have a breather?
Nope. I think we've just about covered everything. Don't do anything that we wouldn't do. So
no no walking. Sorry. No, well, he walked right into that one.
You mean I rolled right into that one. So.
Oh yeah, right. Or you magically leprechaun magicked into it.
All right.
I'm going to write an article about how cripples are really leprechauns. I'm telling you. Expose this
Good o-
conspiracy
good
to the
luck.
whole world.
Good luck not getting canceled for that one. So
They'll only cancel it
But
because it's the truth,
anyway,
Sam.
folks.
I'm done. I'm done. I promise. I'm done.
Where else have I heard that? Where else have I heard that? All right, folks. We'll talk to you down the road. Have a good rest of your week, and thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're on Rumble, and if you're on Spotify, leave us a good review. Thanks, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Now broadcast at www.thesam. Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless. God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.